Deliberate breathing gives you a direct pathway to influence your autonomic nervous system and therefore enables you to control stress, anxiety, tiredness, and lack of focus. And chances are that you have never heard of the 4-7-8 breathing method. If you're familiar with my channel, you probably know and practice the Wim Hof method. The 4-7-8 breathing method is like a calmer brother to it and makes it therefore much more applicable for daily situations and if you don't want to engage in fast and vigorous inhalations, which can sometimes feel quite intense. What exactly is this simple, science-backed breathing technique that can reset your nervous system in under 60 seconds? The 4-7-8 breathing pattern is exactly what it sounds like. You inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds, and then exhale through the mouth slowly for 8 seconds. You can repeat that cycle for 4 rounds or more if you like. That's it. Simple. And that's also because I like it. But how can something so simple be so effective? This method was popularized by Dr. Andrew Weil, a Harvard-trained medical doctor and pioneer in integrative medicine. He called it a natural tranquilizer for the nervous system and taught it as a daily practice for reducing stress, improving sleep, and calming the mind. But the deeper roots of this method actually comes from ancient yogic breathing known as Kumbhaka Pranayama, where you hold the breath after inhalation, Antara Kumbhaka, and then with slow exhale that may include the hold as well, Baya Kumbhaka. So while the numbers may feel modern, the core principle is ancient. Breathe less, breathe slower, breathe consciously, and use the breath as a tool to alter your state. So what's actually happening when you use this breath pattern? First, the 7-second hold gently increases your carbon dioxide levels, which helps your body better deliver oxygen to your brain and tissues. That may sound counterintuitive, but more CO2 can mean more usable oxygen, not less, or more efficient delivery. At the same time, you hold your breath after inhalation, where your diaphragm is contracted, creating more room around your heart, and holding that position, increasing your heart rate and alertness. Coupled with the rising CO2, the increased alertness increases your interoceptive awareness, getting more aware of your body and the present moment, which can be very calming and restorative. The 8-second exhale activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your body that controls rest, digestion, and recovery. Finally, by bringing conscious awareness to your breath, you're engaging areas of your brain responsible for emotional regulation and executive function. You're training your nervous system to respond, not just react. And to be honest, this breathing method reminds me very much of how I learned Tummo breathing. It's like a simplified variation of it. If you're not familiar with the whole breathing technique landscape, I have a free 15-day breathwork course that introduces you to many techniques with guided breathwork videos. Be free to check it out, the link is in the description. The 4-7-8 technique for me is like a progression to coherent breathing. In coherent breathing, you inhale and exhale for 6. In the 4-7-8 technique, you have the element of breath retention and longer exhalation, which has a more calming effect on me. So I really like to use this technique before bed if I have a late training session and I need to calm down quickly or have trouble winding down, or in between deep focus sessions. Coherent breathing, which to me is just slow breathing, is something I often use in combination with meditation or a non-sleep deep rest practice. So the way I like to practice this technique is to use a simple audio file that I created to help me with the counting. The audio just has these unintrusive gong sounds that indicate when to move to the next breathing step. It's very simple, and it also includes a warm-up. as the 7 and 8 second hold and exhalation can be quite intense and have a counterproductive effect if your urge to breathe gets too intense. I like to ease into this technique. I do 2 minutes of warm-up breathing with 3, 4, 5 rhythm or so before I transition to the actual technique. To control my exhalation, I restrict the airflow with the throat, which also creates a gentle friction and to my diaphragm. This friction can strengthen your diaphragm and make your regular breathing feel lighter and more efficient. Let me show you some tips how you can make this breathing method even more effective using some advanced tips from Tummo breathing. Let's go. Okay, here are some advanced tips from Tummo breathing, how you can make the 4-7-8 breathing method even more effective. So let's start with the different phases of this breathing pattern. First, you have the inhalations. You have two ways how you can inhale. The first way is to have a very light and easy way of inhalation. This will focus more on your urge to breathe and your carbon dioxide that is rising, because you don't discard as much carbon dioxide and you don't oxygenate as much. This can have a more calming effect if you can endure this air hunger. So the way you do that is you inhale very lightly, focus on your nostrils. You shouldn't feel the air friction on your skin, or you can focus on your throat. When you inhale with your diaphragm in a very light and easy way, your throat shouldn't tense up. This is a very good marker to control if you initiate the breath with the diaphragm. So if I want to focus more on the calming side and really dive deep into calmness and the restorative effect, I would engage in very light inhalations. Be careful though, sometimes the urge to breathe can get too intense and your whole breathing experience can feel too uncomfortable this way. The second way how you can do the inhale is engage in a full diaphragmatic breathing, where you focus on a more vigorous inhalation. So you inhale deeply into the belly, then expanding your breath to the rib cage and upper chest. So you perform a full inhale and fill up your lungs to full capacity. So the way I do that is I initiate the breath with my diaphragm, so the breath starts very still. Then when I transition to the rib cage and upper chest, I draw in more air using my throat to fill up the upper areas of my lungs. So it looks something like this. And then I would move to the next phase of holding my breath. If I perform a full diaphragmatic breath, one thing that happens is I increase my intra-abdominal pressure. This pressure can be used as pressure point. I, for example, like to press my pressure downwards to the navel area, which creates a very calming and grounding effect, at least for me. This intra-abdominal pressure can be used to enhance the overall experience of the breathing method. So moving to the next phase, the exhalation, can be done in various ways. So you can restrict the airflow through the throat and discard the air evenly. Or You can go a step further and control the air release in different ways. So one way from the Tummo breathing is to first release the air lightly, then stronger, and then lightly again. So it would look something like this. And if you do that over the time period of 8 seconds, the interesting thing here is that you really can work on your diaphragmatic skills to release the air more smoothly. And what I like to incorporate here is to have just a few seconds of breath hold stillness after exhalation. So I can discard off the air more rapidly this way, and I ease into the stillness phase where I hold my breath again. So this is one way how you can control your exhalation to enhance the experience and the grounding and releasing effect of that exhale. So this way you not just have the rising carbon dioxide that is inducing calmness, but you also have the diaphragmatic work and the neurological connection between diaphragm, heart and brain, which can have a more profound effect on this method. And of course there's the whole spiritual effect of the Tummo breathing with the meditation and visualization, but I won't go into that here. So the 4-7-8 method is a simple method, and this is what it should be. An easy method to fall asleep, but with these additional aspects from Tummo breathing, you can increase the overall effect of this breathing method. I would suggest trying things out, experiment and see what works for you. Also, the simple methods have multiple layers how you can dive deeper into the experience of deliberate breathing. Extended exhalation and breath retention are ancient tools not just for relaxation, but for shifting your state of consciousness. Practices like Hormesis breathwork harness these exact mechanisms, activating the sympathetic nervous system through vigorous breathing and then flipping into deep parasympathetic rest and awareness through retention and slow exhalation. The 4-7-8 technique is, as I mentioned, a calmer brother and variation of Hormesis breathwork. It's not just calming, it truly can be transformational. Try to practice this technique for 5 minutes a day when you want to calm down and restore. You will build stress resilience, sleep better, think clearer, and most importantly, you'll start to develop a relationship with your breath that changes how you live. By the way, if you want to download my audio file for the breathing, I leave the link in the description. If you practice the Wim Hof method, check out this video, what most Wim Hof practitioners miss. See you in the next one. Bye.